Okay. First, I would like to extend my sincere thanks. Sir, whether my voice is audible? Any one of the participants can kindly respond whether my voice is audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good evening to all. Good evening, friends. I am welcoming all for the 10 days FD. There is a PDP, there is Professional Development Program on Research Methodology and Data Analysis. Today we are going to discuss another one important and interesting topic, that is none other than a review of literature. Yesterday we had a discussion with regard to what is research. We had a discussion with regard to how to identify base paper, what are the different approaches, there is a deductive approach and inductive approach. We have seen what is the research process. Next, we have seen what is research problem, how to formulate the research problem, what is research question, what is research objective, what are the various aspects are to be kept in mind before selecting the research topic. We have seen, followed by and then I have answered the queries raised by the participants. Today we are going to discuss another one important chapter, that is another one important topic, review of literature. This is our today's agenda. We are going to discuss review of literature, why we should do review of literature, sources of literature review, what are the various strategies, tips for literature review. We are going to discuss what are the different types of review of literature, how review of literature could be written. We are going to discuss how to structure the review of literature. We are going to discuss another one important aspect, and that is how to identify the research gap. Yesterday, one of the participants asked how to identify the research gap. Plus, I will give some other insight with regard to review of literature. If you have any doubt or clarification, feel free to ask your doubt. Kindly post your queries in the chat box. I am ready to clarify your doubt. Okay. With your permission, just we can discuss this topic further. Review of literature. Review of literature is a compilation of facts related to the particular topic. Review of literature plays very important. Review of literature plays very important role in research. Identification of the research problem is the first step in research. Second step is writing review of literature. Normally, you might review of literature. Normally, let's take a faculty or scholar. You are supposed to write a review of literature in different occasions. Sometimes you may be applying for research proposals to various funding agencies like ICSSR, UGC, or National Commission for Human or National Human Rights Commission, even some other funding agency. In such circumstances, you should know how to write review of literature. Okay, I am the researcher or I am the scholar. I am supposed to publish my research paper in Scopus indexed journal or Web of Science indexed journal or PubMed indexed journal. In such circumstances, I should know how to write and how to publish, how to write the review of literature. This is second occasion. Third occasion, and then I am a scholar. I am supposed to publish a review of. I am supposed to complete my PhD thesis. In such circumstances, you are supposed to submit. You are supposed to prepare a review of literature. So we are going to discuss what are the nuances of preparing review of literature. At the end, I will clarify how to write review of literature for research thesis, how to write review of literature for research paper. If possible, I will give some example also. What is a review of literature? Review of literature is a brief description of literature relevant to the particular topic. Review of literature is designed to be a critical analysis of what others have already discovered about the subject. This is very important. Sometimes you might have sent your research paper to the Scopus indexed or Web of Science indexed journals. Sometimes the paper might have been rejected. You know why? What is the first reason? The first reason is most of the people, most of the researchers doesn't know how to present review of literature. Normally, they will take review of literature, they will write review of literature from the ordinary journal. Probably they won't take review of literature from the international or reputed or peer-reviewed journal. That may be another reason. Another one reason is they don't know, simply they are cut and paste the review of literature. So they don't know the real meaning of the review of literature. Sometimes the paper might have been rejected only because of the improper identification of research gap. We are going to address all the things. So, and then review of literature. What review of literature gives? Review of literature gives some overview of what has been said by the key writers. Already we discussed. If you take any topic or any topic in any discipline, say for example, let's take a marketing, or let's take a finance, or let's take a operation, or let's take a international business, let's take a entrepreneurship, there will be a key authors. So it gives overview about the key authors. For example, if you take stress management, there is a person called Uday Parikh. He is a key author. If you take a dividend, there are several model has been developed by the people. Say for example, Walter model, Gordon model. Similarly, if you take capital structure, then there are several the models has been developed by the several authors. Say for example, net income approach. This approach is developed by Durant. Similarly, let's take, you would like to discuss something about Dow theory. Dow theory. Okay, so this theory might have been developed by somebody else. Similarly, learning theory, leadership theory. So we can know what has been said or who are all the key writers in the particular field. Similarly, review of literature also gives this information. There's prevailing theories and hypotheses. If you take any subjects, if you take any topic, theory plays very, very important role. You may be asking one questions. What is the purpose of the coursework? Let's take a research scholar, PhD research scholar. When research scholar joined the PhD, the first year, let's take almost all the universities. And first year, they are supposed to do the coursework. They are supposed to identify 4 courses related to their own field. For example, consumer behavior. You can take consumer behavior, service quality, or brand management. Sometimes then the top based on your own topic. Why? What is the major purpose? The researcher is expected to know the theories involved in the particular course, because theory plays very, very important. Based on the theory only, we should develop hypothesis. So we can know what is the prevailing theories. We can know what are the different types of hypothesis has been used. There are different types of hypothesis. One may be null hypothesis, another one may be alternate hypothesis. The main objectives of hypothesis testing is to reject null hypothesis. That is our main objective. Sometimes if you take some research paper, they might use different hypotheses. Directional, they may use directional hypothesis, non-directional hypothesis, simple hypothesis, complex hypothesis. So what is simple hypothesis? You have only one independent variable and only one dependent variable. Just you would like to find the relationship between independent and dependent variable, means it is said to be simple hypothesis. What is complex hypothesis? You will have several independent variables, you will have several dependent variable. Or now you are trying to establish a relationship among this variable, means it's a complex hypothesis. Sometimes you can, even when you go through the review of literature, it gives some information. There is a directional hypothesis, non-directional hypothesis. What is directional? What is non-directional hypothesis? Directional hypothesis means if you can able to predict the influence of independent variable and dependent variable, it is said to be directional hypothesis. What is non-directional hypothesis? Sometimes you may not be in a position, or you cannot predict the influence of independent variable and dependent variable. That is a non-directional hypothesis. So you can also get this kind of information from the by reviewing the literature. Similarly, you can also know appropriate and useful methods and methodology. This is very, very important. Appropriate and useful methods. That is, you can know the research method, what kind of research design they have used, whether they have used exploratory research, or whether they have used conclusive research, or whether they have used descriptive research or whether they have used casual research, what kind of sampling method they have used, what kind of data collection method they have used, whether they have used qualitative data collection method, or whether they have used skills from the review of prevailing theories and hypothesis, appropriate and useful methods and methodology you can get. Okay. Normally, review of literature may be prepared for research proposal, sometimes research project, research proposal. When you submit research proposal to the funding agency, you are supposed to prepare a research proposal. That is mandatory one. Similarly, you are getting funding from the funding agency. Okay, now you are supposed to do the review of literature. Then again, you should identify the research gap. Again, you should write a review, research. You should write review of literature. Even for research paper, you can also write review of literature. For thesis, you can write a research. For thesis, you can also write a literature review. Okay, we will discuss very elaborately literature review, and then why we should do the literature review. Literature review increasing the knowledge in the subject area. That is a first objective. That means you can get the background about the study. Even this will be very, very useful to write the introduction aspect. Whenever you write introduction, normally we will say introduction is like a hand of the paper, hand of the research paper, or hand of the thesis. Okay. When somebody is asking, what is the way how I should reach the particular place? In such circumstances, you will say you can go this way. So it is a hand of the paper. So even let's take whenever you write introduction about your thesis, you should know the international status. You should know what is the national status. You should know what is the country, what is the state level status. So how you can write this? Unless you know the subject area, unless you know the basic data, that is not possible. This can be done only with the help of review of literature. Okay. Another one important thing, you can also identify the patterns and trends. Identify the patterns and trends. So, for example, let's take, you are doing research in a stock market. So you should know what is the pattern and what is the pattern, what is the trend, how prices of the stock price, how stock price is moving, whether stock price is moving upward or downward. At least you should know the trend. So then you should know the pattern. Then only you can able to predict, or then only you can able to take some important decisions. This can be done only with the help of a literature survey. You can also identify the similarities and gap. What are the main objectives of writing review of literature? The main objectives of writing review of literature is to identify the research gap. That is very, very important. Identifying the research gap, identification of the research gap is very, very important. Unless you identify the research gap, then whatever you did, everything is vain. Probably then the same research might be done by some other researchers. So you should do you should identify the research gap. That is very, very important. Another one important thing, you can also identify experts working in your field. That is also very, very important. When you do research now, even let's take universities or higher level institutions, or even let's take accrediting agency like NAC or NBE or some other accrediting agencies. They are giving much importance for the collaborative research work. Collaborative research work means what? Then you can be there, and you can also collaborate. You can do your research. Similarly, you can also collaborate with some other researchers in some countries or some other state. Okay, how these things can be done? How you can identify the experts working in your field? Only by way of literature review. By doing literature review, you can also identify this person has published several research paper in the particular area. So you can also identify the experts working in your field. Okay. Even you can also get this kind of information. What approach has been used by other researchers? Okay, already we have seen there are two approaches. One is deductive approach, another one is inductive approach. Okay, we have seen yesterday, we have seen what is deductive and what is inductive. First, in one approach, we will take theory as a base. Based on the theory, we will develop some hypothesis. Based on the hypothesis, we will go for data collection, and finally we'll test the hypothesis, we will come to the conclusion. This is one approach. And we have seen another one approach, that is said to be, and that is another one approach. Just we will see the pattern, based on the pattern of just observation, based on the pattern, and then based on the pattern, we will develop some theory. Yesterday we have seen Maslow need hierarchy has been developed based on this. So we can get this kind of information only with help of review of literature. Similarly, you can also avoid duplications. There's another one purpose of doing a review of literature. Sometimes some results are controversial results. Some results, okay. Let's take cockroach. When we say cockroach, immediately people will get nausea or people will get giddiness. Whereas in some countries, and then even they have used the cockroach for consumption purpose. So this is there is a controversial topic. This kind of information can be clarified only with the help of review of literature. Normally, let's take the researcher. Whenever they are submitting their research paper for international reputed journal like Scopus Index or Web of Science Indexed journal, the researcher is supposed to write the discussion part. That is very, very important, discussion part. So what is the discussion part? Then you have studied you have find something, your study has find something. You can also compare your findings with the other researchers' finding. You can also compare. For example, sometimes you can compare my study, then this is my study findings. Okay. Your study found 4 important variables influencing one thing. Whereas what about other study? Probably they may found 3 variables have influenced. Sometimes you can compare, sometimes you can contrast, sometimes you can clarify the controversial results with the help of review of literature. Similarly, you can also narrow down your research problem. This is also possible only with the help of review of literature. You can also identify the variable. That is very, very important aspect of review of literature. Normally, whenever we do research, this is very, very important. We should identify what is independent variable, what is dependent variable. Once we identify what is independent variable and what is dependent variable, our job is very simple. You can easily formulate or you can easily construct the questionnaire. So what is independent variable and what is dependent variable? Independent variable are a cause-oriented variable. What is a dependent variable? A dependent variable are effect-oriented variable. Independent variable are cause-oriented variable. Dependent variable are effect-oriented variable. For example, one student is getting placement. That is said to be the dependent variable. What may be the cause? The cause may be the parents or the college or the faculty or the friends or then our infrastructure or sometimes his own competency. This may be the cause, this may be the effect. So we should identify the variable. Once we identify the variable, it's very simple. So based on if you know the independent and dependent variable, you can apply any statistical tool. For example, you like to apply correlation or multiple regression. Correlation, you can also apply correlation. Correlation means at least one variable should have been independent variable and dependent variable should have been measured at 5-point scale. So you can know. Similarly, let's take multiple regression. You would like to use multiple regression. So you can, at least you should have 4 or 5 independent variable, at least one, you should have one or two dependent variable. So this is possible only with the help of literature review. You can identify the variable. Another one important thing, it also helps to form significant questions. That is the research question. By going through the review of literature, you can get some insight. So based on this insight, you can also formulate a significant research question. Once you have a research question, this research question can be easily convertible into research objective by changing some verbs. Similarly, it also gives background information about your work. Whenever you submit your research proposals to funding agencies, they are expecting this kind of information from the researchers. They are expecting background and they are expecting background informations. Okay, that is very, very important. That is the background information means what? National status, international status. For example, you like to do research on stress management. So what is the national stat? What is the international status? Then what is the national status they are expecting? Similarly, you can also generate some new idea. Similarly, then you can also progress. You can also improving the body of existing knowledge. So you can also compare. You can also contrast. You can also identify areas where research is needed. That is a final outcome. That is the final outcome of review of literature. Okay. So literature may be prepared for research proposal, research project, research paper, and thesis. Okay. If you take literature, it can be review of literature. It can be classified into different types. Sometimes narrative review of literature. What is narrative review of literature? It will describe it will describe the situation. That is a narrative review. Critical review means what? It will compare, or it will examine, or it will evaluate the two different products or two different outcome. That is a critical review. Sometimes scooping review, it highlights the gaps in the literature. Sometimes state of art review. State of art review means what? It focuses on the most recent research. This is very important. Normally, sometimes the scholar might ask a question, sir, I would like to submit my research thesis now. How many review of literature I am supposed to collect? Should I collect 100, or should I collect 200, or should I collect 50? Which one I am supposed to, how many review of literature I am supposed to collect? The question is, what are the main objectives of writing review of literature? The main objectives of writing review of literature is to identify the research gap. You are going to submit research thesis now, 2023. At least you should have a review of literature from 2022, 2021. For example, you don't have any review of literature during these 2 years. For example, 2022, 2021, 2020, or 2019. You have submitted research. You have submitted your thesis, but then probably you'll get a question. That is, during these 3 years, some research might have been conducted, but you have not studied. That means what? There is a mistake in identification of the problem. Sometimes even now people are asking another one questions. Okay, they're also asking to write any pattern. Is there any pattern has been invented? That if there is any research gap, probably based on the research gap, sometimes some pattern might be developed. So this is a latest development. People are asking like this. Okay. Next one, augmentative review. That means sometimes a review of literature compares studies related to identical hypothesis. For example, already we have seen null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis, simple hypothesis, complex hypothesis, directional hypothesis, non-directional hypothesis. If could have write review of literature based on this is said to be augmentative review of literature. Just I'm explaining what are the different types of review of literature. Historical review. What is historical review? When you write review of literature from the origin and development on chronological order, or from the year wise, that is said to be historical review. Sometimes you can also write the theoretical review. Then in case of theoretical review, just you are going to examine the concept. That is a theoretical review. Okay. Now, what are the sources of literature review? These are the different sources. One is primary sources. Next one is reports. Third one is conference proceedings, company reports, then government publications. Okay. So you can collect the information. Okay. Similarly, you can also collect information from the secondary sources. Just I will explain primary sources. Then let's take, you can also collect some review of literature from the book or journal, book or article. Normally, let's take a book. Book means that particular book should have ISBN number. If it is a journal, the journal should have ISSN number. Now, if you take some journals, or if you take some article, every article, let's take reputed articles, the reputed journals, they have assigned one number called DOI number for the article. What is DOI number? It is nothing but digital. Then the other name of the expansion for the term DOI is said to be digital object identifier. What is digital object identifier? It's like a roll number, or it's like a registration number. Every channel should have this number. So we have several journals. Even when you go to EBSCOhost or emeraldinsight.com, we'll have several journals. Okay, you can also collect review of literature from the reports, several reports. When you go to RBI website, you can get different reports. Similarly, let's take SEBI, different reports. CSO, Central Statistical Organization. So you can also get several report. Similarly, you can also collect a review of literature from the conference proceedings. Conference proceedings means here we are talking about the popular conference proceedings. Say, for example, AAP conference proceedings, IEEE conference proceedings. They will have some standards. Okay. So similarly, company reports. So you can also collect review of literature from the company report. Then government publications. If, for example, CSO, Central Statistical Organization, has publishing some report. Similarly, let's take CMIE, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. They have published some data. So you can collect the review of literature from these sources. Similarly, books plus journals. Journals means the reputed journal. Reputed journal means what is a reputed journal? At least the journal should have been indexed with the Scopus or Web of Science, or at least the journal should have been included with UGC CARE. UGC CARE. That is a fundamental things. If you have collected the data, for example, you like to do research on banking sector, there is a journal. There is a journal, International Journal of Bank Marketing or Service Marketing, and International Journal of Contemporary Service Management, International Journal of Hotel Management. So when you collect the research paper, when you collect review of literature from this research paper, already this research paper, these journals are highly reputed. So you can get some extra credit because their focus is international level. Okay, so that is the best one. Plus research paper. You can also research paper means what? You should download research paper from the well-established journal. Well-established journal means Scopus or Web of Science or even UGC CARE list approved journals. Plus peer-reviewed journal. What is peer-reviewed journal? Peer-reviewed journal means journal can be classified into different types. One may be single review. Single review means when you send your article to the particular journal, tomorrow it will be accepted. Day after tomorrow, you have been asked to pay the money. Then next day you can get a publications. Okay, that is one kind of journal. What is peer-reviewed journal? When you send your article to some journals, it will directly goes to the editor. The editor will do the plagiarism check. If finally, for example, according to UGC NAM, 10% is that 10% is allowed. There is a similarity report. There are several plagiarism softwares are available. There is Authenticate, Urkundu. There are several softwares are available. Okay. So next, once they check, they will send your research article to another one reviewer. They will have a reviewer. Marketing, they will have a reviewer. Fine arts, they will have a reviewer. HRM, and they will have a reviewers. Human resource management. Okay, your research article will send to 2 or 3 reviewers. Okay, so their opinion will be collected. If it is okay, then it will be published. Otherwise, it will be rejected. That is a peer-reviewed journal. Peer-reviewed journal means a review process is done by more than one reviewer. Okay. Plus recent paper, you should take only the recent paper. Recent paper means last 5 to 10 years paper. That is sufficient. Now you might ask another one question. What about a classical paper? What about the seminal paper? That is, let's take origin and development. For origin and development, that is acceptable. Okay. What are the various sources of literature? And now people are, for example, earlier we used to say which one is better, hard work or smart work? Smart work is always better. The earlier scholar will go to university and they will take some thesis, or they will take some, they will go to the library, they will take some, probably they will take some journal. Now the gone are the days. Now you can go through these sources. I'm not discouraging you. If you are interested, you can go, but this is a smart work. Emerald Insight, this is one of the database. This database is exclusively meant for social science. Social science means commerce, management, economics, anthropology, sociology, psychology, then public administration. So you can find article under this database. Okay. Similarly, EBSCOhost plus JKT. You can also collect review of literature from these sources. Okay. You can also collect review of literature from the indexed source and abstract source. Indexed means then probably the Scopus indexed sources. Okay. Let's take academic journals. Normally, if you would like to collect review of literature from the academic journal, probably they might publish the research article monthly wise or quarterly wise. Book means probably their frequency of publication may be once in a year. Sometimes if it is a newspaper, probably we can get the information daily. Conference proceeding, and depending upon the conference report, once in a year they may release the report. This is probably on awarding the research degree. So these are the various sources. Okay. Then whenever we would like to write a review of literature, or we would like to collect a review of literature, means we should ensure this. Then say for example, whether if it is a book, the book should have obtained ISBN number. ISBN number means International Standard Book Number. ISSN number, International Standard Serial Numbers. If it is an article, the article should have a DOI number. That is a Digital Object Identifier. If we take online articles, almost all the articles has been published through online. So DOI number. Now, sometimes scholar might ask the question, sir, which one is better? So should I publish, shall I publish my article online or offline? That is printed version. Online would be better. Why? Because when you submit your article through online, you can get more citations. Most of the people might view your article. Next one, you should also check, if possible, journal impact factor. Okay. Similarly, say for example, you are going to use secondary data for writing your review of literature. Normally, you may be aware about this fact. Normally, data can be classified into two types. One is primary data, another one is primary data, another one is secondary data. When you collect data for the first time, it is said to be primary data. When is secondary data? Secondary data means the data has been collected by somebody else. Now you have used for your own research purpose. In such circumstances, before taking review of literature, before writing a review of literature, we should assess the validity of the secondary data. How we can assess the validity of the secondary data? First, we should ask these questions. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of the data? Okay, that means why this data has been collected, why the secondary data has been collected. Okay, next one, the accuracy part. Accuracy, we have to check the accuracy part. Then say, for example, the party which collected the data, then who has collected the data, whether the government or semi-government or private people. Then another one important thing, the time period, whether they have mentioned the source. Consistency, sometimes you can also check the cross-check. This can be achieved by cross-checking. Consistency means, then if you take any data, there should be a flow and throw, whether there is a flow and whether there is a throw. Another one important thing, credibility of the party. Who has collected the data? Let's take a government agency. Probably it will have some credibility. Okay. Similarly, methodology. What kind of research methodology they have used? Sometimes they may use qualitative data. Sometimes they may use quantitative data. So which data collection method they have used? We have to check. Depending upon the situation, the methodology might be different. We are going to discuss what are different qualitative data and what is different quantitative data. For example, you'd like to know and you'd like to know the underlying motivation of that person. Some persons, sometimes some questions may be very sensitive. People will not react or reveal their intentions. In such circumstances, you can use that person technique. So what is that person technique? For example, you like to collect the data relating to smoking habits among the students. Okay, when you ask, do you have a smoking habits? None of the students will respond. Instead, what we can do is, okay, what's your opinion? Why most of the people thinking that smoking is good? What's your opinion? When student says yes, it's also good. If the student says it's also good, that means what? This is their underlying intention. This is their underlying motivation. You can also get this kind of information. So this can be identified only with the help of the methodology. That is a research methodology. Okay. Now, how to identify the relevant literature? How to identify the relevant literature? Normally, before writing review of literature, first we should identify the literature. Research journal. How we can identify keyword? Keyword plays very important role. Keyword. Based on the keyword, we can identify the relevant literature. What is a keyword? Whenever you write some research paper, you will have a title of the research paper. Next, you will have abstract. Under abstract, then after title, then probably your name will be there. Then you have been asked to write abstract. Under abstract, you have been asked to write 5 keywords. For example, let's take a service quality. Service quality. You have been asked to write 5 keywords. For example, reliability, responsiveness, tangibility. So, based on the keyword, you can also identify the relevant literature. Another one important thing, backward. What is backward? If you take any research paper, you have identified some research paper. At the end of the research paper, they will write some reference. You take those reference, you copy the reference and you paste. You can paste with Google, then or any other browser. You can also download the research paper. That is a backward. Okay. Similarly, let's take what is the forward? Forward means what? Then let's take backward means if you want to trace the back volume, that is said to be backward. Forward means then if you take one research paper, it will take the latter. It will based on which you can also collect the latest review. Then this is a backward. This is a forward strategy. Now people might ask another one questions. When should I do review of literature? When should I do review of literature? Sir, whether should I do review of literature initially or at the end of the thesis or in between whether I should do review of literature? Normally, the researcher should do review of literature in 3 different occasions. Before formulating the research objective, you should do the review of literature. During the course of your research thesis, you should also do the review of literature. Why you should do the review of literature? During the course of your study, to check whether you are in the right track. That is the purpose. Next one, at the end of the research, you should do the review of literature. Why you should do the review of literature at the end? To write a discussion part. In case of discussion part, you should compare and you should contrast the research finding. Okay. Another one important thing. How should I? And then next one is, say for example, how should I select paper to read? Now you like to read the paper. So what is the first step? What you are supposed to do? First, ask your supervisor. What is the role of supervisor? The role of supervisor is guiding the scholar. That is a major objective. That is a purpose of scholar. For example, you like to do, one scholar is approaching the research supervisor. He says, I would like to do research on service quality. Immediately, the research supervisor should explain. There is then service quality means you take service marketing book. There is a book called Parasuraman Sitamal written by, he has written one book called Service Marketing. Similarly, then Parasuraman Sitamal is authority. Both of and then they have published some research paper in their 1986. So you can go through that. So you can ask the supervisor based on, once you know the basic aspect or base paper, rest of the thing is very Very good. Another one important thing, review article are a good starting point. That is very, very important. What is a review article? Review article or review paper. Sometimes if you take research paper, then review paper will be published. Review paper means what? For example, you'd like to do research on customer relationship management. You can find some review paper. You can type review paper on customer relationship management, PDF research paper. You can also get the review paper. In the review paper, what are the major objectives of review paper? The main objectives of review paper is to find the research gap. They will not do any other analysis. They won't do any other analysis. Simply they will, let's take a research methodology part. In research methodology part, simply they will include how many research paper they have included, how many years they have collected. This kind of information will be there. So review article is a good starting point. Once you identify the review article or review paper, your job is very simple. That means you should not use the same review paper as it is. You should make some changes. You can go through the review paper and you can make changes according to your own way. That is then. So review article are a good starting point. Try to identify a key paper. That is very, very important. There is a key paper means, and there is a base paper. So yesterday we have seen what is base paper. If you take the topic called emotional intelligence, just imagine that 50,000 paper has been published. You are supposed to identify the base paper. How you can identify 50,000 base paper? And then, for example, I would like to identify the base paper. Should I go through all the paper? I don't have any time. So what I'm supposed to do? I can prepare one table. Number of downloads. I can download some article. Number of downloads. How many people have downloaded this article? Next one, number of people have cited this article. Number of downloads and number of citations. Based on which you can come to the conclusion. For example, if number of downloads and number of citations are equal, you take number of citations, or otherwise sometimes let's take some article, 1 or 2 people might cite it, but that article might be downloaded by several persons. You take this criteria. Based on this criteria, you can identify the base paper. Okay. Once you have identified the base paper, then you can follow the key paper. It will take you to the correct directions. Okay. And then, example, what I find too few sources. Sometimes you would like to do research, exploratory research. When you do exploratory research, you cannot get very good papers, good number of papers, because it's a new research. In such circumstances, again, you can also discuss with your research supervisor. Look for the related topic instead of concentrating on the particular area. For example, you would like to do research on service quality of the bank. Just imagine you don't have, you find only few sources. Now you can also broaden the scope. You can also collect review paper from or research paper from hotel, hospital, airline, ship. You can also get some idea. Similarly, you can also broaden the topic little. If your topic is very narrow, there is a problem. You can also broaden. Next one, even when you look harder, that is, you can get the research paper. Okay. And next one, how should I select? And then already we discussed this aspect. Okay. Say for example, what to do if I find too many sources? Sometimes you can get several research paper. In such circumstances, what you can do is plan to scale down your research. You can also restrict by years. You take only last 5 to 10 years. You can also restrict by source. You can also restrict, say for example, then the data should have been indexed with Scopus, or the data should have been the article should have been indexed with Scopus, or the article should have been indexed with Web of Science, and the article should have been approved by the Scopus, UGC approved journals. Then you can also restrict. Okay. Or also you can also restrict by topic. Okay. Now You have downloaded the research paper. You have downloaded the research paper. Okay. Now what you can, just a minute. Okay. Now you have downloaded the research paper. Okay. Now what you can do is, first you should keep the record of what you have read. Okay. You create a hyperlink for the paper. Just I will show one. Paper. And then I want answer from the participants. Dear participants, whether you can see the file.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Say for example, and this is the way of preparing a table. For example, this is related to customer relationship management. This researcher created one table. Say for example, author. Another one is industry, country, in which country this research has been conducted, sample size. What is the sample size? What is the sampling unit? What is the sampling method? Which sampling method has been used by the researcher? Which data collection method? Research method? What is the analysis? Finally, and then conclusions. You can create one. Table. Why you should create this table? By creating this table, what you can get two different benefits. First one, we should identify this of research. That is the main objectives of review of literature. During your Viva-based examinations, sometimes the external examiner may ask the questions. How do you say that none of the research has been conducted with regard to this topic? Kindly check how you can prove. In such circumstances, you can tell. See, and these are the, say for example, let's take a country. And then if you take country, almost all countries belongs to foreign countries. Foreign countries, UK, Taiwan, USA, New Zealand, Canada, UK, USA, Singapore, Germany, UK, Canada, China, Italy. So let's take, and then one researcher has prepared this table. Okay, he has downloaded the research paper and he will read the research paper, and then he will write a review of literature separately, and he will create one table. Okay, see, let's take how many review of literature he has written. He has written more than 150 review of literature. Okay, now from this, what he can get? He can get some points. Let's take a identification of the research gap. We will write, if we take some research paper, they may write a research gap like this. Even though they may use this word, even though several study has been conducted with regard to this topic. Most of the study has been conducted in Western perspective. Only few study has been conducted in Indian perspective, or none of the study has been conducted in Indian perspective. Therefore, the researcher is intended to fill the gap by way of studying this topic. This is one thing. Another one important thing, for example, he can also get this idea what kind of statistical tool they have used: factor analysis, regression analysis, cluster analysis, correlation, regression, t-test, even ANOVA. They can also get this kind of information. Similarly, they can also justify. Sometimes you may be preparing this response rate. Okay. What is the response rate? You might have issued 100 questions, 1,000 questions, but you can get only 500 valid response. Now, what is the response rate? 50%. When you say 50%, immediately people will say that means you are not taking effort, because 1,000 you have distributed 1,000, but you are not in a position to take even 70%, 80%. Now you can also show this kind of information. I have read several research paper oral research paper for review of literature. See, this is a sample size. And then if they want, they can also refer. So let's take your sample size, your response rate, it could be 50 or 60. Let's take others, it could be 40 or 50. You can also justify. So you can create table. You can create table like this. Okay, author name here. Okay, this is what I am trying to say. Similarly, you can also what you can do is, okay, you can also identify the just a minute. Okay. Dear participants, whether you can see the Word file now, distribution of the research.
Okay, wait, participants, wait. Krishnamurthy sir?
Sir,
Wait, no, Krishnamurthy sir is not there. Yes, yes. Then we will. Sir will read the. Any problem, sir? You want to return? Okay, no problem. You return. Yes.
Dear participants, suddenly I think there is a technical things. Okay, whether my voice is audible?
Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, let's take the article. I think this is where I have stopped. Okay, let's take the article ASEAN Pacific Journal. Similarly, let's take. I can also identify which journal is the best journal for publication. European Journal of Marketing. That is the best journal. So I can also I can also identify how many research paper has been published for my research topic. That is 200 research paper. So I can get this kind of information. Okay. Okay. Now you would like to write a review of literature. What you are supposed to do? First, you should know what you are looking for, where to find in a research paper. That plays very important role. For example, what research topic does the paper fall under? You would like to know. You can get this kind of information from the title page and an abstract. What problem does the paper attempts to solve? You can also get this kind of information from title, abstract, introduction, and problem definitions. Say, for example, you would like to know this kind of information. What is related work? Why is not sufficient? You can get this information from the introduction aspect of the research paper. What key contribution does the paper claim? You can get this information from title, abstract, introduction, and conclusion. How does the paper attempt to solve the problem? You can get this from introduction and introduction. How does the author defines the solution? You can get this information under introduction page. Okay. Before writing a review of literature, kindly ask this kind of questions based on the collected material. Is the research problem is significant? Is the problem is novel? Is the solution approach is novel? Or the contribution is significant? Is relevant related work surveyed sufficiently? Have alternate approach of solution have been explored? Assumptions are valid. Where we do some research, normally assumption checking plays very important role. You like to use multiple regression, or you like to use correlation, or you like to use factor analysis. There is an assumption we are going to discuss in the subsequent session. Whether assumptions has been properly, all claims are valid, or sometimes let's take, or the different parts of the paper are consistent. You should kindly, okay. Still, say for example, okay, what if you don't understand the paper? Still, you don't understand the paper. What may be the possible reason? The reason may be like this. Probably the subject may be new. Sometimes the say for example, the terminology may be new, unfamiliar terminology. So kindly read the subjects and read the subject. Another one important thing, say for example, sometimes you don't understand technical details of the research methodology. Better read the research methodology book. There is a book called Naresh Malhotra. That is a very excellent book for marketing research. Or sometimes you may be mentally tired. Okay, in such circumstances, for example, if you are self-motivating yourself, it's good. Okay. Sometimes the paper may be poorly written. So what to do? Just take a deep, just to take good sleep, then read again. You can also discuss with your research. You can also discuss with your colleague. Okay. Say for example, what is the literature? There are several issues are there with regard to literature review. Simply copy and paste from the internet without citing proper copy and paste is not one of the issues. Sometimes wherever we draw some information, we should give proper acknowledgement. Okay, how you should organize the review of literature? Normally, review of literature should be written like this. It should be like a funnel shape. First, you should write a broader topic. You should write a broader topic. Next, you should write a subtopic. Then you can also write studies like yours. For example, I can give an example. My banking sector. You like to write a banking sector. Bank service quality of the bank. Service quality of the bank. Next subtopic. Service quality. Impact of service quality on customer satisfaction. Impact of service quality on customer satisfaction. Impact of service quality on customer loyalty. Impact of service quality on the intention to revisit. You can create some heading, then you can write. Okay. Next one, how you should structure the review of literature. That plays very important. How you should structure the review of literature. That plays very important. That plays very important role. Okay. First, what you should do? What are the seminal work on my topic? First, you should write the base. There is a classic review of literature. Okay. Next, what progress has been made since this seminal work? Okay. For example, you have identified the base paper. Your base paper might have been published during the year 2005. Then you should write what is the latest development. Another important thing, you should write what are the most recent work. That is very important. Another important aspect is what are the achievement and limitations of this work. You should write. Next, what gap do these limitations reveal? How does my work intend to fill this gap? This is a structure of writing review of literature. Normally people or a scholar might ask a question, sir, how to write a review of literature? It's very simple. How to write a review of literature is very simple. You can write objectives of the study. You can write objectives of the study. Then findings of the study. You can write objectives and findings of the study in 4 or 5 lines. That is enough. But we may use the different jargons. You may use different verbs. For example, yes.
Sorry to put in, there is something.
You can write review of literature. I think, and then I think I'm getting nice. Kindly participants, kindly mute. Okay. Say for example, let's take. For example, you would like to write a review of literature. This is just imagine that this is a topic. Human resource practice, impact of human resource management practices on employee satisfaction. This is your this may be your topic. Okay. Now, how you can write a review of literature? X made an attempt to study the impact of human resource management practices on customer satisfaction in employee satisfaction in textile industry. So you have written objectives. This study is a cross-sectional study, or you can write cross-sectional or longitudinal study. Okay. This study identified 5 important dimensions of human resource management practice. Number one, yes.
But actually, word file is visible, sir. I think PPT is not visible. Please check it.
Oh, okay, sir. PPT is just a minute. Just okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay. Now it's visible, sir. Sir, now PPT is visible.
Visible, sir.
Okay. Regret for the inconvenience caused. Okay, thank you. Okay. How to write review of literature? We have seen. The main objectives on attempt has been made by the researcher to study the influence of human resource management practices on employee satisfaction. This study found recruitment. This study identified 5 important dimensions of human resource management practice. These are recruitment, selection, training, development, grievance handling, wage and salary administration. Out of the identified dimensions, recruitment, selection, training has highly influenced employee satisfaction. This is enough. So this is the way of writing review of literature. But if you know the nuances, it's very simple. Normally, if you know the nuances, it's very simple. Okay. So how should I structure my review of literature? And then I think what are the seminal work, and then what progress has been made, what are the most relevant recent work, what are the achievements and limitations of this recent work, what gap do the limitations reveal, how does my work intend to fill the gap? Okay. What tense should I use? Normally the present simple or present perfect are generally used to introduce literature review. Okay. Use the present simple to discuss previously published law, theorems, and definitions. Okay. How you can talk about how can I talk about the limitations of the previous work? Sometimes we should not say the previous research is very poor. We should not say. We should talk diplomatically. Say, for example, as far as we can like this. To the best of our knowledge, the literature has not discussed. We believe that this is the first time that principal agency theory has been applied. Our results often appear to conflict with each other. So far, X has never been applied to. Okay, so you can write the limitations of the previous study diplomatically. Okay, how to organize area, that is first chronological wise, that is on the publication date wise. Or next one, thematic. Thematic means, say for example, concept wise. Next one, methodology wise. Methodology wise means what? Say for example, you can also focus. There are two types of research methodology
Sorry to butt in.
it has been followed. One is a quantitative research.
Sorry to butt in, sir. Hello.
Already
Sir, some voice is breaking, sir. Again, some voice problem. Maybe network issue.
summary table we have seen.
The video and audio is also a problem, sir. Krishnamurthy, sir, can you please rejoin?
Tell me, sir.
Video and audio is problem.
Sir, now it's okay.
No, sir, your video is not.
Oh, okay. I will join again, sir.
Yeah. That is a better.
Sir, whether my voice now? Okay.
The voice is clear now. Voice is clear. Video. PPT is visible, but again you can share the.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Now okay, sir. Now okay. Continue.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
Continue.
Okay, sir.
So PPT, sir. Share your PPT.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay. So how to identify the research gap? Okay. So when you identify research gap, then this is the way of writing research gap in a diplomatic way. Say for example, few researchers have addressed the problem. Few researchers have addressed the issue. Some researcher has addressed the question of a previous study has only focused on. You can write the research gap diplomatically. I will share another one. I will share another one file. By going through this, you can also get some insight. Okay. Sir, whether you can see this Word file, sir?
Yes, sir.
Major research project proposal. Okay. Actually, then this research proposal is prepared by me and another one researcher, and then impact assessment of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Okay. Now I'm supposed to write a review of literature. Introduction aspect I have written. Okay. This is a review of literature. Okay. See, I have written 25 review of literature. See, let's take. Then what is the improvement here? Then latest review, that is 2022 should have been written first. Okay. 2022 has been written in the subsequent review or in the subsequent reviews. Okay. See, the article on understanding role of community participation title explores the role of, okay. Then the research examines. So this is a way. Similarly, let's take next. The same word has to not be repeated. Author name in their article title, then title of the article, discusses. First, I have used the word explores, discusses. Then finally, then findings. Similarly, let's take on article by. See the wordings. Next, the research work on. A research article titled in the article on. In the article on. Okay. Next one. Then say for example, the author name have conducted a study evaluating the impact of the article titled on. The research explores the relationship between. See, this is a way. For example, let's take the maximum 4 or 5 line is a permissible, is a is appropriate for a review of literature. Okay. Finally, before concluding, just I would like to recapitulate what we discussed so far. We have seen a review of literature. What is a review of literature? What is the purpose of review of literature? Why we should do a review of literature? What are the different strategies of review of literature? When I should do review of literature? What to do if I have only few resources? What to do if I have too many resources? Then next we should know, we have seen how I should structure my review of literature. Okay. Next, what is the research? How I should present my research gap? We have seen. Okay. Finally, before concluding, just before concluding, okay. I think have you seen the Word file, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Finally, before concluding, you should assess the quality of review of literature by asking this question: have I mentioned what have then whether paper I have mentioned is a logical order? Have I selected disproportionate number of papers from my own country? You should not select review of literature from only one country. That is not a good, or only one state, or only one district, or only one gender. Have I followed my journal instructions? Sometimes when you submit your research paper to the journals, you are supposed to follow the guidelines given by the journal. Have I removed any redundancy when reporting the literature? We should not use the same word again and again. We should use different words so that it will be look nice. Have I used tense properly? Sometimes we may use past tense. Okay, which tense I am supposed to use? Okay, you can check. Finally, before concluding, and there is a method for writing review of literature. If it is a thesis, you can write 4 or 5 lines. Let's take a journal, or let's take a journal. You can write, you can combine all the related review into 1 or 2 lines. How you can write this? And then numerous study has been, you can use this word, numerous study has been conducted with regard to this topic. This study found there is an impact on. You can write only one word, author name, only one word, author name. Then that is more than enough. If you have written, if you know the nuances of writing a review of literature, your research paper will be accepted in international journal. Similarly, let's take your research thesis. You can, then it will be appreciated. You can get very good comments. So with this, I would like to wind up the session. If you have any queries, you can ask your queries. I am ready to clarify your queries.
Thank you, sir. That was a very informative session. I now request the participants to kindly ask any questions regarding the topic that is being discussed today.
Okay, how many review need for it? Okay, normally there is no hard and fast rule. You should have 40 or you should have 100. It depends upon nature of the study. If your study is an exploratory study, probably you don't have any review of literature at all. In such circumstances, even 10 or 15 is acceptable. If your study is a descriptive study, or if your study is a casual study, means at least 50 to 60 latest review of literature, that is enough. But you should give proper justification. How you can give proper justification? Prepare a table, and you can also I have taken this review of literature only from the international reputed journal. Okay, when you say, probably people might accept. Okay, so we should give some justification. Okay.
Another question, sir. What is
Yes,
the
madam.
difference between 3-point and 5-point scales? Where
Yes,
we-
okay. Okay. What is the difference between 3-point and 5-point scale? Where we do it? Okay, I will explain. Actually, this is a question related to scaling technique. Normally, whenever we prepare a questionnaire, we may use we may use 4 different types of scale. One is a nominal, another one is a ordinal, another one is a interval, another one is a ratio. Nominal scale, the main objectives of nominal scale is identification purpose. The main objectives of ordinal scale is ranking. For example, one student have secured 100 marks, another one student have secured 80 marks, another one student have secured 30 marks. The student have secured 100, he will be ranked as number 1. Another one student secured 80 marks, he will be ranked as number 2. Third student have secured 30 marks, he will be ranked as number 3. Here there is an order, but the order need not be equal. That is the purpose of ordinal. Whereas let's take interval scale. You would like to ask one question. What's your opinion about coffee you had? What's your opinion about coffee? So you can say 2 answers, yes or no. When you say no, that means what? The coffee is not good at all. That's not a correct. So instead, what you can do, you can ask this question in a different scale. For example, what's your opinion about coffee? Excellent, very good, good, okay, not okay. That is said to be the that is a 5-point scale. Normally, you can use for 3-point or 5-point scale. When you use 3-point, not advisable, you can use 5-point, that is sufficient. Sometimes some researchers might use 7-point and 9-point scale. We are going to discuss this concept very elaborately in questionnaire development. Questionnaire development.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Dr. Nagalakshmi ma'am.
Yes,
Please
yes.
explain the difference between research article and research paper.
Okay. Yes, madam. What is the question, ma'am?
Difference between research article and research paper.
Okay. Research article and research paper. Okay. Research article means, say for example, that is your manuscript is said to be research article. If it is published, it is said to be the research. This is said to be it's a research paper. There is no difference.